welcome back to Podpackers, the podcast where real travelers share the stories behind their journeys, the fears, the growth, the freedom that comes from stepping out of the ordinary. Today, we're joined by Landy Gómez, a traveler from Mexico whose journey is as spiritual as it is human. She went from living a conventional life to being a physical therapist, to exploring the world through volunteering, not to escape, but to connect, grow, and to live with purpose. Landy's story is all about courage, kindness, and the belief that we're here to make the hard edges softer for one another. So, welcome, Landy. You said that introducing yourself as a traveler explains who you truly are. So, can you tell us a little bit more about what being a traveler means to you?
Yes, thank you, everyone. Hi, I am very glad that I'm here in Brazil. Of course, I've been traveling and knowing the world, and that has opened so much for me. So I really like this question a lot because that really defines who I am as a person. Because I was saying, like, being a traveler requires a lot of things. So it requires you used to, and like not following the same line of what you think you should follow, or do you think you should follow the whole crowd, and just having a curiosity for the world and for everyone, for yourself, and stepping out of your comfort zone. So if I could like involve all that in just one word, I would describe myself as a traveler, and that's exactly how I would present myself to others. Yeah.
I think that's really beautiful. So, how did growing up in Mexico and being a middle child kind of shape your independence and curiosity about the world?
This is a very interesting question because Mexico is very diverse in culture, and we have everything. So we have beaches, and we have rain and desert and forest. So growing up in Mexico helped me build that like confidence around, well, like I really want to know what's out there in the world besides what's here in Mexico. So also Mexico has a very like strict lines eventually, or like regularly, of following like a 9 to 5, and like going to your office. In some parts, of course, in some parts, it didn't happen. So I got to live both sides of Mexico. And actually, the last time I was in Mexico before started traveling, I was in a place where there was a lot of people, like international. Everyone was just enjoying Mexico at the same time. So having the experience of international people enjoying my own country, I wanted to experience. So that also pushed me into, well, okay, like I know that I have everything that I need, and it's amazing because I see all these travelers enjoying the country, and I would love to go and enjoy their country as well. So I'm very glad that Mexico could provide that for me. And honestly, I carry Mexico everywhere I go. I talk about Mexico everywhere I go, and I miss it so much. But yes, it's worth it that I'm on the other side of the world. And eventually, like I've found Mexican people here in my travels, which has made it just way better. So it's like Mexico is coming to me. So it's like home, it's coming to you. Even if you're far from home, you're gonna eventually find people from your country, and it's way better than finding them in your actual country. Yeah, I find that very,
That
very
makes
lovely.
so much sense. Where are you right now?
So right now I am in Thailand, in Bangkok, Thailand. I've been traveling Southeast Asia for the past month, and it's been crazy. It's completely different. Connecting it to Mexico, it's completely different. Um, like visually, of course, and culturally, but I really find a lot of similarities to Mexico, which I find very interesting. And that also has been a whole other journey, but I love it.
That's awesome. Wow, Thailand and Mexico is super far apart. So you often talk about living a spiritual based life instead of an ego based one. And what does that look like in your daily travels? I mean, I know a lot of people go to Thailand kind of for spiritual type retreats, right?
This is actually great that you're relating it to how Thailand is. And I, what I mean by living a spiritual life instead of an ego-based life, it's being and staying true to my own purpose as a human being and as what I'm becoming. So I'm becoming a traveler every day. Like I am traveling right now, but I'm also becoming more and more. And for that to really happen, I've learned that I have to detach from what I thought that I was like in my back in my past life. So when I detached from that like ego-based life of I think that things need to happen to me, I started more of a spiritual journey, and I instead of wanting or needing things to happen, I was actually going forward for it and actually stepping out and looking for it. So instead of going first outside and outwards, I went inwards and I went into the depths of him. And that was a whole journey by itself. I really like to call it my first solo journey into the depths of who I am instead of my first solo journey, just like when I left the country. So that has led me to amazing places inside. And then, of course, I can expand more whenever I meet someone and whenever I go somewhere new. So here in Thailand, I love it. I love it, and I knew that I was gonna love it. I didn't know how or why, but something told me that I needed to come to Thailand. So whenever I got here, I learned a lot of well, they practice Buddhism here, and I've learned so much about quietness and stillness and sitting with yourself and listening more than you speak and just like that calmness of presence that goes perfectly aligned to everything that I learned before started traveling. So that has also been part of huge part of my life.
Wow, that's really unique. I've never heard anyone describe kind of this spiritual journey as their first solo trip, but the more you say that, I think that makes a lot of sense. So I want to transition a little bit. How did you discover Worldpackers, and what made you feel like volunteering was also aligned with kind of your inner purpose?
So I covered Worldpackers because I wanted to start traveling. I didn't know how. I didn't know how I was going to do it or with whom. But I remember that sometime when I graduated high school, I saw a volunteer position of a girl volunteering in Africa. I can't remember the program or the application or anything, but I just had that like deep in my mind. And I studied, I didn't went volunteering at the time. I finished college as a physical therapist. And then when I was thinking about how can I travel with purpose, more than just like booking a plane ticket and booking a five-star hotel or whatever, I wanted to for it to be more um, like rewarding in sense of everything that I could get in this spiritual realm that I'm talking about. So I started searching, like, oh yeah, I remember this girl was volunteering, and I've always wanted that. So let me see what's out there. So I started researching on my phone, and of course, the phone is always like following it, like your activity on the phone, and then it popped into my Instagram stories. So I feel like it was a little bit of me telling my phone like, "Hey, I want to volunteer and like I want to try these things." And it started like it was the platform that started popping up more into my phone. And to this day, I know that it was for a reason. I absolutely love traveling with Worldpackers, and it's been a day. So every single time, I'm like, wow, that's crazy that it just popped into my stories, and I didn't like hear it for from anyone that was traveling because I wasn't in that world at the moment. So it felt like, wow, this is a safe space for me. Let me try. So I started like out of intriguing and curiosity. That's how eventually I started here.
That's so cool. I feel like everyone I talk to, they're like, "Yeah, I saw it on social media," but no one really knows how it got there, especially if you didn't Google it. It's like, "Oh, how did my phone know that I wanted this?" Right? But yeah, I mean, I guess volunteering is great because it allows you to stay in places for free. But I mean, you've mentioned that it's, also about being part of like a bigger story around the world. Can you expand a little bit on, I guess, what does volunteering mean to you beyond just free accommodation?
Yeah, this is a huge question because I feel like however you lead your travel and your journey, is how it is eventually gonna develop and become something. So what I've discovered with volunteering is that it goes beyond what we're saying, like accommodation and free accommodation. It's being part of something bigger than yourself and something even bigger than what you have access to. So while like looking for the volunteer positions, I really wanted something that was close to the local lifestyle, and I wanted something that was more of like me having to sit down with local people, not speaking the same language, and using the language to understand each other, that I wanted coffee and learning about how they farm and how they work their land, and actually learning from people that live in that land, from that land. Because I was like, whenever all these tourists and international people were coming to Mexico, I wanted to show them everything about Mexico and everything that as a Mexican, I know that Mexico has. So having that passion of, I want people to know this side of Mexico, that it's not on the internet, that it's not on TikTok Reels, or that it's not actually everywhere. So I'm like, wow, but I can only show it to them when they ask me. And then I was like, well, I'm going to go out there and ask people, local people and local um, culture, and by myself, just like stand outside of the temple and admiring it and having curiosity and asking, asking. So curiosity has really led me very, very far into my journeys and into my travels, and it has led me to the right people, to the right local people, and then the other travelers become part of it, and it's just like a full cycle, like a full circle completed, because you're starting from the right side. So it's way different from any other travels that I've done in my life, and I really, really, really feel part of something.
Landy, I love hearing how much you talk about your hometown and your home country. So I'd love to know a little bit more about where you were before you took that first step. I mean, were you working in Mexico? Were you in university? Like, what was the situation before you left?
Yeah, I was living a 9 to 5 job before working as a hostess. I was studying for a physical therapy position. So I became a physical therapist, and I finished my studies, and then when I moved back, well, I moved out of my hometown and I started working a 9 to 5. I needed to pay rent. I needed to pay my bills. I was actually just like transitioning to the adult life. So that made sense to me. Just starting a job. So I was working. Actually, my life was very pretty, very beautiful. It was surrounded by so much love and so much opportunities and friends that now I call my family. So this is very important for me, like where I come from, because it reminds me why I'm doing what I'm doing. And that's especially because I figured like while I'm here like traveling, I hear a lot of other travelers saying like, yeah, I don't know what I want to do with my life, and I don't know what I want to study right now. And I'm discovering every single reason of why people are traveling, which is different for everyone. And I was like, wow, my reason right now, I'm not escaping from anything, because all the beautiful life that I had back in Mexico was so rewarding, that it was so inspiring for me to go out and seek for more. So while I'm traveling, I've been discovering that, well, I wasn't escaping anything. I was okay with my job. It was beautiful. It was surrounded by international people. Like again, I was just surrounded by so much life that I was like, I want more. I need more of this. I know that I'm meant to see more than what I'm seeing right now. So yeah, like where I come from, it's a true inspiration of where I'm going to. Because again, I wasn't running away from anything. I was going towards something, and finding that as a reason enough to travel, instead of just like, I'm not quite where I want to be, and I want to discover myself. Those are like very good reasons to travel, such as actually not running away from anything and going towards more and towards what you're meant to be.
That's a super unique perspective. I feel like most people are like, "Oh, I hated my job. I hated this. I hated that." And it's like, I want to leave, which I honestly is super valid. I totally understand that, but I've never really thought about it from the perspective of like, "Oh, I like this thing so much that I want more of it." So, I think maybe Landy and I would encourage our listeners to kind of think about like what inspires you and how can you get more of that in your life, right? But for someone who is kind of feeling lost or stuck in their routine or maybe just scared to leave their home country, what is something that you might tell them?
So definitely, I would say that that scary side of leaving your hometown has a lot of lessons behind, and that those lessons are going to help along the way. So that scary side of you is going to make sense while you are traveling and while you are on the road, because that sense of like, I'm scared of doing this, is stopping you. And then once you actually do it with the fear in your backpack, like it's your backpack, your clothes, your water bottle, and your fear, and then you go and then you drink your water bottle, and then you use your clothes, and then you also use your fear. So then the fear becomes a tool for you to um, like find a greater purpose behind what you're doing, and find a lot of answers actually. Sometimes even change the questions, because you just can't quite find those answers. So you change the questions, you change your perspective, and then you share that with other people, and then that they resonate with you, and they end up very inspired. They inspired by you, by how you're doing it with fear, that you become a walking inspiration for everyone. So wearing your fear with pride, it's also good. It's great. You're inspiring yourself and inspiring other people, showing them that you can do it like that. So I would say wear your fear with pride, and let it use it as a tool afterwards, because you're not going to be scared just doing this in your life. Your life has wonderful things ahead of you, and maybe you're going to be scared again and again and again, but you can't stop your life again and again and again just for that. So instead, get inspired again and again and again by fear. So if you're not doing it with fear, then you're doing it wrong. The best things are behind the door of fear. So it's hard. I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's so rewarding. And that's the thing. It doesn't have to be easy. Like, if it was easy for me, it would be boring. Like, this life and all that it has for you needs you to be prepared for everything, which means being prepared for what fear brings with it. So wear your fear with pride, and let that be a master in your travels.
Landy, you're so inspirational. I think something that I really like how you talked about visualizing it, right? Like I mean, I've heard like a bunch of different kind of shamans and spiritual guides say that you should imagine things like visually. So, for example, if your fear is in like a container, right? And like, you did something that you were afraid of, but you survived, so then your fear is a little bit less, and like every day your fear decreases a little bit until it's empty, and next thing you know, you're in Thailand. And I think that's super awesome. So, before we wrap up, my final question to you is, I guess, what is next for you? Do you see yourself coming back to Mexico long term? Have you found home elsewhere? If you don't know, that's fine too.
This is a great question, because I needed someone to ask that to actually figure out what I want to do next. So right now the plan is to keep traveling. Of course, I do not have a return date, and I would say that I want to still keep exploring this home that has two legs instead of zip code, and eventually find more homes and more families till I feel comfortable enough maybe to go back or keep on my travels, or anything that my soul truly wants. So, what my main focus right now is to be present, and, of course, have a visual perception of where I want to be, and let that guide the way. So, let that be like the lighthouse of where I'm headed, but the boat is me. So my perception of my future is there, and I want to keep traveling, and going for more, but I'm still in my boat. So I'm letting that like guide the way. And the ocean it's like I'm in the boat, and talking about metaphors, and visualizing. So the ocean, you can't read the ocean at fully, and that's not my intention. My intention is to have a great boat to navigate that ocean. So whatever the water comes with it, I want to be ready for it. So yeah.
You definitely have a way with metaphors. That's super amazing. Landy's story reminds us that traveling isn't all about escaping, it's also about expanding, connecting deeply with others, giving more than you take, and realizing that home is not one single place. It's a feeling that you find when you open up yourself to the world. So if Landy inspired you like she inspired me, make sure to follow Podpackers and Worldpackers on Instagram and TikTok, and head to our website to find other volunteering experiences that can help you discover your own purpose through travel. Thanks so much, Landy, for joining us. And until next time, everybody stay open, stay kind, and keep exploring.